Alright, here it is, BenQ MOBIUZ EX480UZ. We're going to unbox this. This is ArtIsRight. Before we start, subscribe if you're new and hit on the bell icon so you'll be notified every time I upload cool new videos like this. This is future art and I forgot to share this in my original recording. I am BenQ ambassador for the Pro Display lineup. That will be the SW hardware calibrated display for photographers and their Pro Designer PD display line for designers. So BenQ have sent me this unit, this EX480UZ for review. And to do an unboxing, all the opinions you're about to hear about this display are going to be my own in this unboxing and also in the review to follow as well. And now back to the unboxing of this display. To give us a brief background, I was at BenQ booth at CES 2023 and BenQ did have this display to showcase. This is their EX480UZ. It is part of the MOBIUZ display lineup. This is the display line that is really created for gamers and also for an entertainment display. Now you may wonder what's the difference between the MOBIUZ lineup and another brand by BenQ, which is the Zowie. Well, Zowie is really designed so that you would get the highest refresh rate possible, for example 360 Hz, but the panel technology that they use inside those displays are different than this one. With these displays, it's a balance between, well, obviously really great color and a pretty good refresh rate. So for this one, this is their 48-inch OLED display and it's BenQ very first OLED. It's also huge, it's 48-inch, and with this one, the refresh rate is 120 Hz. Now, what's really amazing of this display is that the G to G time is really 0.1 milliseconds, so it is super fast. We're going to be doing some gaming tests when we do the full review of this display. And the other thing that a lot may not know about this display yet is that it has 99% Adobe RGB coverage. So obviously we're going to be doing a calibration guide on this channel with this display at some point in the future too, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Alright, so now let's have a look at this display. There are specific instructions at the very top of the box with steps on how you would go about unboxing this display, and I think what I have to do is rotate this first. So I'm going to try to show you as much clips of the unboxing as possible, but you may just see the content inside this when it comes to the unboxing part. So let's have a look. Now that I have the packaging open, let's take a look at what comes with the display. Now, before we can do anything, we have to pretty much cut these two wrappers first. They're just little clear tapes or so, or more like plastic bands, and they pretty much guarantee that the box is going to hold together, or at least the two foam parts anyway. So I'm going to unleash that first. And next up, what we have is a quick start guide. This tells you how to assemble the display and everything. The other thing you're going to need as well on this is a screwdriver, but BenQ does provide those for you because you are going to screw the base plate and also the stand pretty much right into the display. Unlike the other SW and EX and also PD line displays that I've unboxed before that goes up to 32-inch, you simply just hook it up at the top, snap it in, and it goes into place. This is 48-inch. It is larger, so we're definitely going to need some more reinforcements to make sure they stand, or it locks onto the stand properly. What we also get with this is a high-speed HDMI cable. So it's HDMI to HDMI. We get a USB-C to C. We get a full display port to full display port, so for PC users, you can definitely link this up without any problem. There is a USB uplink cable, so it's a USB 3 Type A to a Type B connection so that you can link it up to display, send extra data there, and a power cord. So that's pretty much on the cable that is included. They have also included a remote as well. This remote is very similar to the EX3210U. And the next thing is the stand. And I probably should look at the quick start guide to make sure that I am doing things properly with this display. All right. So what we're going to do first is let's mount the stand. Now, this being a 48-inch, what BenQ have done is follow the design language of the 3210U fairly closely and the entire EX lineup, where you have this really awesome stand that is, I think, is a pretty decent design stand. And it has carbon fiber inlay and everything. It has that unique look to it, and it really goes along with the MOBIUZ lineup well, because I mean MOBIUZ, I mean, obviously the logo is orange, so BenQ is pretty much emphasizing that. I'll leave the tape and everything on there for now. So this is pretty much just the stand. As you can see, it is quite large actually, the base. And the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to lock the vertical portion to the stand this is how big that is, and there is a Velcro here. So the moment we pull the Velcro out, this is going to pop out a little bit. You're gonna see there. We're gonna just try to hold this as best as possible. We're gonna see how, oh, actually it didn't pop out that much. It just prevents this from really going out that much further because this is pretty much spring compressed, as you see right now. All right, we're gonna put this in just pretty much on like that. I mean, it just goes into each other really easily. I'm gonna screw this in. And you can just hand screw the bottom part here, or if you like, you can always use a screwdriver to make sure everything is in there extra tight, but I'm just gonna do just hand tight for now. All right, so now that I have this, I recommend propping it up like so. Okay, time to remove the top portion of the foam. So we're gonna do that. And one of the things to be certain as well is that all that clear tape is out of the way so that there's no issue. All right, so this is the panel. I mean, you can't really see much of it, and I didn't really do an overhead angle for this because it is a fairly large panel. But what BenQ wants you to do once you get to this point is as follows. So what we're gonna do is we're going to take the stand and we're going to just part the display just like that. You can see it a little bit. And simply enough, what we're gonna do is hook it up at the very top and lock it in the bottom. From there, what we're going to do is use the included screwdrivers and screw to reinforce this or to lock it in place. Now, BenQ also included these metal studs as well. You can kind of see that there. So this is used so that if you want to mount this on a wall or something like that, or use any type of VESA mount, you would have to use these adapters. And the reason why you would do so is because the mount for this is a little bit more inset than the back of the display itself. I'll have a B-roll that will show you that so that you get an idea of what I'm talking about. But for now, what we're gonna do is just use their included screwdriver and lock this in place. Now that I have the stand mounted to the display itself, BenQ does recommend that you have 2 people unboxing this display in order to set it up properly on a table. This was done off camera. And from there, what you would simply do is pretty much just take this foam out. Just like that. And now, we are ready to have a look at the panel. So yeah, the EX480UZ. One more thing I have to do is remove this foam covering that they have. And there we have it, EX480UZ. This is pretty much just a panel right here. I mean, on the side, at the very top, it's just pretty much very thin. And this is just the magic of like an OLED panel. So what we're gonna do is let's plug it in, link it up to some of the connections and IOs. Specifically, what I'm gonna do is just connect it to a computer first, and we'll just kind of take it from there and give you my first impression of this display. But so far, it's looking really amazing. Just the design of it, I think, looks really great. All right, so now that I have everything set up, currently the display is linked to my 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Max chip on the inside, and the cable that I'm using is USB-C to DisplayPort. This does enable a lot of functions when you're using this cable, is that you can get 4K resolution at 120 Hertz, and it will also carry sound over the USB-C to DisplayPort cable as well, and I'll demo that in just a moment. So this is just pretty much just using the display as is, no calibration whatsoever, and I have popped up Lightroom Classic. 120 Hertz doesn't really matter much in Lightroom Classic, but I just want to see the color of this OLED display, and I can tell you right now that even without calibrating it, it looks absolutely stunning. These are the pictures that I have from Iceland that I've captured that you may have seen in multiple of my videos, and what I can tell you is that the colors just definitely pop on the display. Everything looks great. The dark and the colors inside this Aurora Borealis photo, for instance, just really popped. Now, the video camera may not be able to capture the pop as much as what I'm seeing right now, but what I can tell you is that the colors look really good, and there's very minimal bias just right out of the box. So BenQ definitely hit the home run with this OLED display. A couple other things that you can do with this display is you can go into different modes. There are different presets because this is their EX lineup. So right now I am using DisplayPort Standard. There is DisplayPort Game, which will dim the display down, and pretty much they changed the audio mode into more of like the gaming mode for the audio itself, and the color mode is changed to RPG. There is some light tuning that happens. There's also DisplayPort Cinema. You can see the color changing on the display right now, but so far just using standard for photo editing, I think this looks really great. A couple of other things that you can definitely do with this display as well, and what I want to do first is show you the speaker capability of this. Because you no longer have to add in the element of design and really picking over the new design versus the... So that is my YouTube channel, and I'm playing the sound over the USB-C to DisplayPort cable through the TriVolo speaker that's built into this display. A few things to note when you have the connection done this way is that the sound control on the Mac itself, it's pretty much disabled, is outputting a level sound, and you would use the remote or the buttons on the display to control the sound volume and also mute the sound if you want to do that. So that would be the sound aspect of it, but everything works so far and I really like what I'm looking at. All right, a few other things I want to show you. Let's go back to Lightroom, and this is more of a gaming specific feature, and that has to do with the fact that this is a large canvas. This is a 48-inch 4K, and it is quite a bit that your eyes have to scan, especially if you're linking it up to a PC and you want to have like a good gaming experience. So one of the things that you can do with this display is you can go into the system under the display menu and you can change the size of the image that is projected on the display. So for instance, I can change this to a 22-inch wide equivalent, 24-inch, 27-inch display, and also a 32-inch should I ever want to do that. So if you want to take a look at an image in a smaller area just so that you can scan across the screen a little bit better, especially if you're playing online gaming, well, you can definitely do that with this display. And another thing that you can do too, if I select this, I can move this up or down and change position on the display too, depending on where this needs to be. And like I said, this display during the setup portion, I mentioned that this can be wall mount and everything. And I think this will be an amazing, great looking display to wall mount. All right, so let's get out of this mode first and let's go back into the full screen mode. Now there's a few other aspects of this display that I enjoy, and it also has like the ability to do KVM as well. So if you have this linked to multiple computers, you can do, for example, choose between the USB upstream, that is pretty much the USB A to USB type B cable, or use the USB connection for the KVM, or you can have it do an auto selection. I mean, that's kind of pretty cool. So there's a few things that this display can do that BenQ have really thought a lot of this out. There's also an eye care menu, so if you just want to use this to like read articles, you can do that. All right, and in my quick moment just playing with display, there are lighting on the back as well that you can enable. So for example, I can turn that on. I can change the color that's projecting on the back display. Right now, I pretty much have the light in the studio on, so you're not really going to see that. However, it is, you know, the light effect that you can do with all the MOBIUZ lineup, and that's really cool. So you can do as a single, you can do the breathe, you can do the spectrum. There are all these different scenarios you can set, and we're going to show you that a little bit more, I say, when we get to the review portion of this display. All right, there is sound control. You can do different like audio modes, so you're not just stuck in one. You can do FPS, racing game, SPG. You can do a cinema mode or do a pop live. So all those like gaming tune sounding mode, you can do that. There's an eye care mode, but what I find really cool about this is that you can do multiple input. So I'm going to quickly turn that on. I only have one computer link up to this display right now, but you'll get an idea for what this can do. Obviously, when you turn this mode on, it's going to change the display resolution a little bit. So what you have to do is then go into your operating system and just change some of the settings to make sure that everything works properly. But what I can do is a side by side. I can also do, for instance, a picture in picture like so. So if you want to view two different sources, you can. Say I want to do a image edit, but I also want to have a TV or something going on the side. I can actually simply do that. Or I can also do, for instance, something like this, which is kind of crazy. And this is a 4-up view. So with the 4-up view, you can select, for example, which different quadrants you want. So you can bring 4 input in at any given time. So a lot of the features what you're seeing right now is very similar to what BenQ PD line can do, and that is their Pro Designer line. So some of these functions, for example, the side-by-side picture-in-picture are both in the PD line and the SW. So they are bringing some of those features over, which I think is actually really neat. Should you ever need to use your display in this aspect, well, you can certainly do it. And there are inputs that supports it. So for example, you have the USB Type-C input with power delivery. You also have DisplayPort and also 2 HDMI 2.1 standard connection that can do HDR and everything. So far so good. What I'm going to do is let's break the setup down a little bit. Let's link up a PC and launch some games and see what I think about it with the 120 Hertz. So let's do that. All right, so I'm back with the next setup. This is the EX480UZ linked to the Zephyrus C14, and I can play the sound and everything through it. This is just using HDMI, and this works on this particular laptop. I have another PC laptop that it didn't really work on, so it really just all depends. And you can hear sounds coming pretty much from the monitor right now, which is really awesome. Okay, so let's do some quick gameplay. The fan's already kicking up, so we're going to try to see how fast we can run through this. But this is just pretty much Halo, so it's not anything like special or anything like that, but I think it's fairly neat that we can just kind of play game on this large screen and have really amazing color fidelity. So a couple of things I also want to note is that this is currently in HDMI gaming, so it's meant for RPG game, which is role-playing game. There's some light tuning. The audio is specifically for this gaming, and I mean everything just looks really amazing on the screen, especially when you can see everything large like this. Yes, I am way too close to the screen right now, but I think this is really awesome. All right. Anyway, I just want to quickly show you that linked up to a PC and everything and just kind of show you some gameplay. At some point in time during the full review, I'll probably try to link it up to like another gaming console, maybe a PS5 or something like that, and see how this performs, or one of the newer games titles that are out there in the market. So we'll kind of see what happens then. But anyway, this is the EX480UZ, which I am highly impressed by without even calibrating this out of the factory. I mean, everything looks really great. The refresh rate is awesome. And the fact that the sound plays from both Mac and PCs I have tested so far through the display, I mean, that is a big winner. So if you're looking for a large display, I think this would definitely be the one. And one of the main questions I have about this display when comparing it to, for example, a TV, for instance, is why would I choose this over for example, a TV that is 48-inch, that is OLED, that has 120 Hertz. And I think what it really comes down to at the end of the day is the ability to get just great color right out from the factory without calibrating. And yes, I'll be doing a calibration guide on this as well after I have actually get a chance to test this out and run it a little bit further. I'll be calibrating, I'll be sharing you some result with you as well. So anyway, I hope that you find this helpful. If you have any questions or comment, anything you want me to test specific about this display, leave them in the comment section below. Give this a like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you're new, and in art we trust.